Welcome back to another video, and today we got episode 7 of MLB All Around. I feel like we haven't done one of these in a while, and it has been a pretty good amount. I think it's been like 3 weeks, and I'm sorry, I've been really busy with the college football videos and the NFL videos. Not only do we do football and baseball, we also do NBA and college basketball, so if any of that interests you, make sure you go down there, subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload, and like this video if you enjoyed. Links in the description, as always. X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Make sure you follow all those, join all those. But yeah, it's just been kind of swept under the rug, these MLB videos. But we're getting towards the end of the season, so I'm going to have these weekly from here on out. I know I said that before, but definitely for sure now, just with football finally starting, I won't have to make as many football videos, so I can keep it to one a week. So these will definitely also be once a week from here on out. But looking at the American League standings, we're going to start off talking about the Yankees, who sit at the top of the AL East right now, but these two go back and forth, it seems like every day. I mean, I updated these a couple days ago. I was going to record, and then I didn't have time. The Orioles were first. Now the Yankees are a half game up. It's going to come down to the wire. I mean, these two teams are the best two teams in the American League and two of the best teams in the league. I mean, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, I mean, that alone should win you a good amount of games, and that's not even all they have. They have plenty of hitters on the team. Pitching wise, they're solid. I mean, it's just a really good team. Same with the Orioles. You look Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Ryan Mountcastle, Jordan Westburg's been playing really good this year. Anthony Santander. He has almost 40 home runs on the year. It's crazy. Yeah, these two teams are going to be really good. Unfortunately, they're probably going to match up in the playoffs in the divisional round. So that is unfortunate because I feel like both these teams are definitely good enough to make the ALCS and even the World Series. So it should be a very good game there between those two. The Red Sox and the Rays both just sitting around 500. This is kind of what I expected from these two teams. I didn't expect the Blue Jays to be here. I thought they were going to finish third in this division. I thought they were in for a very good year. I thought they could maybe make the playoffs even. But they're 8 games under 500, and I think the playoff hopes are kind of dwindling here for the Blue Jays as we move to almost the middle of September now. Looking at the AL Central, you got the Cleveland Guardians sitting at the top still. I feel like they've really just had control of this division the whole year, but don't look now. The Royals, 2.5 games back. They just came out of nowhere. But talking about the Guardians, I mean, Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan's batting .288, Josh Naylor's having a really good season, David Fry. I mean, they got a lot of guys playing really well pitching-wise. They have one of the best bullpens in the league. I really like this Guardians team. I definitely think they can make some noise in the playoffs. But looking at the Royals, they're on a 4-game win streak, and when I updated these a couple days ago, the Twins were actually in second. Now they're 2.5 games up. The Twins have been on a little bit of a losing streak. The Royals, like I said, on a 4-game win streak. Bobby Witt Jr. sitting .336 with 30 home runs and 98 RBIs. He's definitely an MVP frontrunner. I think he should win it personally, but, we will see. But yeah, the Royals having a very good season. The Twins sitting at third. They've been at second for most of the year. And I definitely do think there's still a chance they finish second, but I don't know. The Royals are a really good team. The Twins, though, definitely I feel like on kind of the same tier with the Royals. Both very, very good teams. The Tigers also above 500, which kind of surprises me. They're only 3.5 games back of the Twins. Yeah, I mean, Matt Vierling, Riley Green, I mean, Colt Keith is having a really good season. They're doing their thing over there in Detroit, so good on the Tigers for that. Tariq Skubal, I mean, he's an absolute animal pitching wise, but the White Sox been eliminated from the playoffs for a little bit. They have 111 losses. That's just really bad. I mean, this might be the worst team I've ever seen in my life. I'm not even kidding when I say that. So yeah, the White Sox just abysmal. 48.5 games back. That's ridiculous. But looking at the AL West, the Astros still at the top. Looks like they're going to win this division. They're 4.5 games up. They've been kind of had the same amount of separation for a while now with the Mariners. Jose Altuve, Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, Yainer Diaz, the same guys the Astros always have, and they're still just doing their thing. Framber Valdez is having a really good season pitching wise. Hunter Brown, um, Ronel Blanco. I mean, they got a lot of guys. They always do. They're always going to be good. The Mariners, it's the same. It's the same thing. I say this every time. The hitting is just not there for them. I mean, Julio Rodriguez is leading the team in batting average with hitting 262. I mean, I guess except for Victor Robles, but is even. I mean, he is playing a good amount. I don't know. The Mariners just don't have anything. I mean, the only thing that's carrying them is the pitching, and that's still just going to be a problem. But when looking at this AL wildcard race, they're going to have some work to do if they want to catch the Twins. I mean, I feel like the field of six here in the American League is somewhat set. Luis Castillo's having a really good season. Logan Gilbert, just an amazing. They have an insane amount of pitchers. They just can't hit. The Rangers back. The defending World Series champions are looking like they're going to miss the playoffs here. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Dolis Garcia, they got pretty much the same team as last year. They're just not. It's just not. Uh, adding into wins here. I don't know. They're 4 games under 500. They're about 6.5 games back of the Twins for the wild card spot. I don't know. They're running out of time here if they want to make a late playoff push. The A's are actually not last in the division for once, so we could clap it up for them there. Brent Rooker's hitting almost 300. He has 35 home runs. He's really turned into something there, and they still got Mason Miller. So, this team, they got some pieces. They're only 20 games under 500, which usually is better than the A's typically do. So, but at the bottom of the division, the Angels. The Angels are actually, I believe, on the longest streak of not making the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs in 8 years, I believe. I saw that stat. It's unfortunate, but yeah, the Angels not making the playoffs. They're probably going to be eliminated from the playoff race here soon. But moving over to the National League, so talking about the American League, it looks like the field of six is set. With the National League, we got a little bit of a race here with the wild card teams. So starting off in the NL East, the Phillies actually dropped from the 1 seed in the NL. They've been at the 1 seed for a while now. They've been about a game and a half, 2 games above the Dodgers for the past couple months. The Dodgers finally passed them, so they're at the 2 seed now, which is interesting. We'll see who finishes as the 1 seed. I definitely do think the Phillies are a really good team still, though. Hitting-wise, they're loaded. Pitching-wise, maybe even more loaded. So, looking at these next two teams, though, the Mets and the Braves both fighting for that last wild card spot here in the National League. And yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to the wire. Both these teams. Francisco Lindor's having an amazing season for the Mets. When looking at the Braves, they've had a lot of injuries. They're still trying to make the playoffs, though. And they're definitely a playoff team. Even without Acuna and Strider, they're definitely still a playoff team. But there's only 6 spots, and it's looking like it's a 7-team race here. So we'll see who finishes. And don't be surprised if the Mets or the Braves both get in and the Diamondbacks or Padres collapse. I mean, I could definitely see it. All these teams are either just above or about to hit 80 wins. So, this is definitely interesting to keep your eyes out on. Then at the bottom of this division, the Nationals, not much to talk about with them. They're 15 games under 500. They're not going to be making the playoffs. This is kind of the type of season I expected for them. The Marlins, just really bad. They're struggling. 54 wins. They got the third worst record in the league. It's not a good thing to see if you're a Marlins fan. Moving over to the NL Central, the Brewers have just about wrapped this division up. They're 9 games up at this point. I don't think there's any chance the Cubs or the Cardinals catch them. But talking about the Cubs and the Cardinals, they still have an outside chance to make the wild card spot, but they would need some crazy thing. I mean, the Cubs were hot for a good while, and now they've lost a couple games here recently. But they were playing really good. It looked like they had a shot. There was a point where they were 2.5 games out of the wild card spot. Now, they're about 5 games behind the Mets and the Braves. They're gonna have to pass both of them. I don't know if that's really realistic as a Cubs fan. It's unfortunate to hear, but I'm not sure if we're making the playoffs this year. Same thing with the Cardinals. The same thing goes. They're right there, but 6 games back. I don't know how realistic that is. They make that up. We'll see if they can get hot. We'll see. But looking at the bottom of the division, the Reds and the Pirates, this is kind of what I expected from this division, except I have the Cubs finishing first. Actually, I don't know if this is what I expected. I think I had the Cubs, Reds, Brewers maybe third, Cardinals fourth, Pirates fifth. So I guess this is not what I expected. I don't know. As the season played out, this is kind of how I'd rank the teams, though. I would definitely say the Brewers are the best team. So I guess the standings are accurate here. Um, Same thing with the NL West. Uh, the Dodgers 6 games ahead of the Padres and Diamondbacks now. We saw the Padres and Diamondbacks both get really close to the Dodgers recently. They did expand their lead a little bit. They're 6 games up now, and 6.5 games up on the Diamondbacks. It's looking like the Dodgers will win this division, but don't count them out. These two teams can both get hot. We've seen it before. But the Padres and the Diamondbacks, it's looking like they're going to get in as a wild card, both wild card teams, as 4 and the 5 seeds. So they're going to have to play each other, which definitely will be fun to see. Both these teams are very, very fun to watch. With all that being said, though, the Padres and the Diamondbacks probably going to be playoff teams unless they have, a huge collapse or something. The Giants 2 games under 500. Doesn't look like they'll be making the playoffs. They're kind of just always around 500. It feels like. I don't know how their team's really not that good on paper. And then the Rockies here at the bottom, eliminated from the playoffs. So your season's over. Enjoy these last 15-ish games while you can, I guess. Um, but moving in to everyone's favorite part, the playoff predictions based on the standings today. So starting off at the top, in the top left, the 3 versus 6 game in the American League wild card, the Houston Astros taking on the Minnesota Twins. And I could definitely see the Twins winning this one. They definitely have the firepower to do so, and they definitely do also have the pitching. They're a very well-rounded team, but I feel like the Astros, they just know how to get it done come playoff time. I think they'll win in 3. I do think the Twins could win a game in the series, but I think the Astros coming on top. They just know how to get it done in the playoffs, and I feel like overall they're just slightly better than the Twins are. But this would definitely be a very close series. Looking at the other American League wildcard game, the 4 versus 5, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Kansas City Royals. As much as I do love the Royals, both these teams are very young. The Royals are even, honestly, actually, I don't know whose team is technically younger. Both these teams, though, no, they are very young. I'm going to trust the Orioles because they made the playoffs last year. They did lose in their first series, but I think they know how to get it done. And I do think they're better than the Royals. I think they win in 2 games, but I feel like both these games could be close. Moving over to the National League wildcard, though, the 3 seed Brewers taking on the 6 seeded Mets. The Mets do get in right now over the Braves, which kind of is crazy to think the Braves might be missing the playoffs. I picked them to win the World Series in the preseason. Lindor's having a great season. Pete Alonso's still there. The Mets are doing their thing right now. But I do think the Brewers offensively just have enough here. Their offense has been very good this season. Willie Adames, Jackson Churio, Christian Yelich. They got a lot of guys. I didn't expect the Brewers to be as good as they are this year, but they're definitely a scary team to play in the playoffs. This wild card series would probably be the most fun of the 4. The Padres taking on the Diamondbacks here in NL West battle. Both these teams within a half game of each other right now. The Padres would get it at home. I feel like that could be the difference maker here, but we did see the Diamondbacks make the World Series as a 6 seed last year. Honestly, I'm kind of just going to, if this matchup does happen, I'm kind of just going to play on who's hot right now because both these teams are very good offensively. As of right now, I'm going to take the Padres. I just think they have a little too much there. I like their roster a little bit better than the Diamondbacks, but I could definitely see this one going either way. I'll take the Padres in 3. But moving over to the American League Divisional Series, the 3 seeded Astros taking on the 2 seeded Guardians. And, both these teams I feel like perform pretty well come playoff time. The Astros definitely do. I mean, they've won World Series, they've made World Series. Guardians, I mean, they did in 2016, and then they blew the 3-1 lead to the Cubs. But since then, I feel like they haven't seen much playoff success. This season, though, I feel like they're gonna win a series in the playoffs, barring the right matchup. I feel like they can beat the Astros. They get the home field advantage. I think the Guardians would win this one, but I do think it would go all 5 games. Just pitching wise, offensively, I feel like they're very similar, these two teams. I feel like pitching wise, though, I have to give the Guardians the edge. Their bullpen is just disgusting, led by Emmanuel Clase. I mean, in baseball playoffs, pitching matters a whole lot more than it does in the regular season. I think the Guardians have the better pitching here, so I'm going to take them to move on. But looking at this next matchup, an AL East battle, the two teams at the top of the American League right now, besides, I guess, the Guardians, but technically I think both these teams have better records than them right now. The Orioles go to New York Yankee Stadium and take on the Yankees. Now, I'm telling you right now, this would go all 5 games. Both these teams are absolutely amazing. Who do I think will win? I'm back and forth on this one. I always am. These two teams are so evenly matched. But again, I think it's similar to the Guardians Astros. The pitching here, I think, makes the difference. And I like the Orioles pitching a little bit more, led by Corbin Burns. I know they're a young team. The Yankees, though, they don't tend to do great in the playoffs. And I feel like in this format here, the Orioles will know how to play them. They see them all the time. They're in the same division. I know the Yankees get it at home, but the Yankees, I feel like there's always a team that loses early in the playoffs that shouldn't. One of the teams that gets the bye always loses because baseball, it's kind of how hot are you going into the playoffs. That's what we saw with the Diamondbacks last year. I think the Orioles get it done. I think they carry over their momentum from the series win over the Royals, and I think they win in 5 games against the Yankees. Looking at the National League, though, the Brewers taking on the Phillies. Unfortunately for the Brewers, I think they have a better chance, honestly, of beating the Dodgers than the Phillies. I'm going to take the Phillies here in 4. I think the Brewers will win a game. I do think that most of these games would be close, but I feel like pitching-wise, the Phillies pitchers can dot up the Brewers' offense, and without their offense, I'm not sure how confident I feel in their pitching. I feel like the Phillies can hit a bunch on them. I think the Phillies win this one. I just don't like the matchup here. Looking at this next series, an NL West battle, the Padres take on the Dodgers. Like I said earlier, there's always those teams that go into the playoffs, get a bye, and then lose their first series. And the Diamondbacks and the Padres both will have played the Dodgers a lot. I feel like the Dodgers should want to get the 2 seed because I think they should be trying to avoid these two teams. I feel like this is just a matchup problem for the Dodgers here. I'm gonna take the Padres in 5. The Dodgers, again, similar to the Yankees, they just underperform in the playoffs time and time again. And I feel like the fact that they get the bye, the Padres are a dangerous team. If you let them get hot. Um, we've seen that in portions of this year where they'll just go on a huge winning streak. I mean, they have a loaded lineup too. They can actually match up well with the Dodgers All-Star lineup. I think the Padres get it done. I think they win. Yeah, this is usually more upsets than I take in these videos. In both conferences I have both leagues I have the 2 seed taking on the 4 seed. In the American League, I've said this time and time again. Last year I said the Orioles, they need another year. They're a very young team. Well, now it's this year, and the Orioles are at the top of the American League once again. I feel like in a 7-game series, I think they get it done against the Guardians. Yes, I know. Honestly, though, I can't really see the Guardians being a World Series team. I know they're a very good team. I definitely do think they can win a playoff series. I can't really, for some reason, I just can't see them being a World Series team. I know their pitching's really good. I know their bullpen's really good, but hitting wise, I feel like they kind of loosen up as the batting order goes down. I feel like the Orioles just have a way more well-rounded team hitting wise, pitching wise. I think the Orioles get it done in 6 against the Guardians. Punch their ticket to the World Series. Phillies versus Padres. This would be a great series. Two high-powered offenses. Again, though, in the playoffs, pitching matters a whole lot more. The Phillies definitely have the better pitching rotation here. They also have the better bullpen. I think the Phillies would get this done. I'll say in six as well. Padres, I mean, offensively, these two teams are neck and neck, two of the best offenses in the league. But pitching wise, the Phillies also have one of the best pitching rotations and bullpens in the league. In my opinion, top five in each. I think the Phillies would get this done against the Padres. And looking at the World Series matchup, this is the matchup I've had pretty much for this whole year. I just really feel like these are the two most complete teams in the league this year. The Orioles taking on the Phillies. Um, and I'm gonna go back to what I said about the Orioles. They're still a very young team. I believe the Phillies are built to win now. This is the season that they've all been waiting for. They're winning the division. The Braves have been injured all year. I mean, they just they everything's going good for them this year. I mean, I really don't understand. I mean, like I said, the Braves they get injured. They're not winning the division anymore. So if I'm a Phillies fan, I truly believe this is the year that they need to win the World Series, and I do think they do that. Pitching wise, they have arguably the best pitching rotation in baseball. The Mariners will definitely have something to say, and they have definitely one of the best bullpens in baseball. And looking at their lineup, I mean, you look at their lineup, go down the list. I mean, Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Bryson Stott, sorry, Trey Turner, Brandon March, JT Realmuto. I mean, it just keeps on going. I I really don't know what to say. I think the Phillies are just the best team in the league, top to bottom, hitting wise, pitching wise. But usually the best team in the league doesn't win in baseball, so I really don't know. I mean, they're a 2 seed right now, so yeah, I don't know. I think the Orioles. I said it last year. Give them another year. I feel like next year is the year the Orioles put it all together. This year definitely could be. I picked them to make the World Series preseason. I have them making the World Series again. They could definitely win it. They're definitely good enough to. I worry about the experience factor, and I do think the Phillies have better pitching here. So I do think the Phillies get it done in six over the Orioles. But let me know in the comments what you think about my playoff predictions, what you agree, what you disagree, what you think. Definitely let me know. I'd love to debate in the comments. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, turn on the noties. Like I said earlier, we do college football, NFL, college basketball, NBA, and of course MLB. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you get on there, subscribe. If you're new, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we post, and like this video if you enjoyed. With all that being said, though, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with our Week 3 college football top 25. Make sure you tune in for that.